All right, Shalom. Giving all praises and glory to our power Yahweh, Baha Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Baha Hashem, Rachak, Wadash, the honors, the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, to you I say, Shalom, Yahshua, Shalom. All right, we're going to get into another AI chat. Now, we always go into 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay? Ignorant means to not know, right? That word or the name Satan in the Hebrew is Shaitan. I believe in that scripture, in that particular scripture in the New Testament, it says Satanas, all right? But he is the deceiver, okay? He's a calumniator, a false accuser, all right? And, to get advantage of us for us to be ignorant. Ignorant means to not know, all right? Of what? His devices, and that's what we're about to talk about. Okay, so this video is a video that I took some time out to watch yesterday. Yep. And it says, well, hold on, because that's why I say my little AI videos. I have a whole playlist because, we often do these. What am I looking for? Okay, the X. Yeah, so that's the whole title there. Life under China's social credit system, a dystopian reality. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Let's define dystopia or dystopian. Define. Okay, what I say, dystopia. What means dystopia? There you go, right there. All right. A dystopia is an imagined state or society in which there is great suffering or injustice. Does this ring a bell? All right, the enterprise Esau is looking for to put the false industrial revolution. Okay, this new world order. All right, where there's the 1%, which are those the banker families, the household of Esau, right? The bankers, okay? And then there's everyone else, all right? No more middle class, all right? Or upper middle class or whatever, I guess, what you call rich or I don't know, poor. Everybody's one class or two classes really because everybody else is one class. But then that 1% are the rich and the wealthy, which are those bankers and their closest family members and relatives because they don't really care. They don't really care about their own people, all right? So, and this is beautiful. It says, an imagined state or society in which there is great suffering or injustice, typically one that is totalitarian or post-apocalyptic. Wow, post-apocalyptic actually says that. Let me grab this word here. I'm not sure if we'll talk about it down below, but I'll copy it and we'll paste it down. After we read this, it says, it is the opposite of a utopia, an ideally perfect place, okay? Which the true utopia was what the Lord deemed to be so through Yahushua and the other Elohim, all right? Which was known as paradise, all right? Aidan, okay, paradise, which was the earth at one point, okay? Even further down in history, we're talking about after the Great Flood, a long time down after history, where you're going to talking about, the Americas, okay? Before Esau got here, all right, there were a lot of different, of course there were still resources here, but, in abundance, all right? You had these, like the Issachar was over here with an abundance of gold and stuff like that, all right? Other islands and other territories where it has certain, things that were, resources. And Esau came over here and saw that. Main thing he saw was the gold, but then he saw the other resources that he can take. And he came over here, all right, to slaughter our people, which that all fits into prophecy, but I'm just making a point. So even America was a beautiful place before Esau came, okay? It is the opposite of, I think there's a scripture in, let me see. Or a similar scripture, somewhat, in Joel 2, because it talks about the missiles. And says something about the land was like. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I think I'm in the ballpark somewhere. It speaks about the land was like the Garden of Eden before them. What I say, Joel 2, because it speaks about the nuclear missiles. Because ultimately, it's going to destroy Babylon the Great. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, right here. Yep. See, let's get Joel 2 and 3. A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. It's speaking of the nuclear missiles, and I wanted to go into this word Eden here, which we could went to Genesis, but I thought about the scripture, so yep, the why they have a shot. See, Aidan, and it says here, pleasure, all right? I forget exactly how it comes up. There's somewhere where you can, it'll say paradise. I don't think it's here. I believe you got to go to the Google, but same difference, man. Okay, pleasure, paradise. Okay, where basically where Adam lived. All right, Adam and the Adamites. All right, they lived in paradise. Okay, which Adam was more than likely at Jerusalem. Okay, when he lived on the earth, because the civilization did not start in no doggone Africa. The cradle of civilization, it didn't start in no Africa. The pleasant land is not in Africa, right? It is in Asia, okay, on that western, near the Mediterranean coast, okay. Um, but yeah, because a lot of our people like to hang to Africa or African Pan Africanism, all that stuff. I can't remember, like Comiticism, or all these different things. It's obviously because they basically they like to hang on to Africa, all right. But the Garden of Eden was not in Africa, okay. It was most definitely not in Africa. It was north. What we're going that way, northeast over there, okay. So yeah, pleasure. Let's see what else it says here. Luxury, dainty, delight, finery. Okay. Nephews. Luxuriate, to delight in oneself. So you get the point, because we're not going to go into the whole Garden of Eden topic. Just I was thinking about that, because as we were mentioning what we were mentioning here. Yeah, get rid of that. So yeah, but this is Esau's idea. And I said it the other day, right? The Esau's idea of a perfect place is actually ruling in wickedness and unrighteousness. Him being on top and everybody else being hungry and starving for him to come and serve all their needs for everything that people need. Okay, it is the opposite of a utopia, an ideally perfect place, and is often used in literature as a cautionary tale to critique real-world social and political issues. And by the way, just to give you a heads up, I don't know how long we're gonna be here because we're gonna watch this whole video. It's like an hour long. I may turn it up a couple ticks, but not too fast, just to get through it quicker. But I'm not gonna put a time limit on this one because I really want to talk about this video. Most importantly, not just because of the system there in China, but some of the things that are mentioned there, and because it's in line with what's going to happen eventually in here in Babylon the Great. All right. So if you got the time, tune in. If not, break it up, or whatever the case may be. So, key characteristics of a dystopian society. Dystopian societies, which can be controlled by a government, corporation, technology, or philosophical, religious ideology, generally share the following characteristics: propaganda and control. Information and independent thought are restricted or censored, and propaganda is not used to control the citizens. Surveillance. See, that's a major thing we're gonna that's gonna be talked about in this video. Surveillance. There's a couple things I thought was funny too. Citizens are perceived to be under constant surveillance by the ruling power, leading to a climate of fear and public mistrust. Lack of individualism. Conformity to uniform expectations is enforced, and individuality or dissent is considered bad or dangerous. While dehumanization. Individuals are often stripped of their humanity and treated as resource or cogs in a machine for the greater good. There you go. See, because we talked about that the other day. Like from the Matrix movies, the machines made the people batteries. Okay, well the machine city just represents Esau. Okay, those agents. All right, all the stuff like that. They're pretty much representing Esau. Okay, the system. All right, and the machines were using the people for what? As I said in the movie, batteries. And that's what the elites want in real life. Okay, to just use you as cattle. They see you as nothing more than slaves to them, nobodies, even their own people. Okay, so what more you Israelites? What do you think they think about you? Illusion of perfection. The society often presents a facade of being a perfect utopia, but the underlying reality reveals deep flaws. Wow, light it up, light it up. There you go. Reveals deep flaws, oppression, and misery. What does Scripture say? Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad. Environmental degradation. The natural world is often damaged, banished, or distrusted, with scarcity of resources being a common issue. All right, and we're not getting to all this. Examples in literature and film: 1984, George Orwell. That's been talked about so many times. Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451. That's been heard about since, man, we were younger. Well, I thought we were younger. I was younger, but I never actually read that book. Wow, The Handmaid's Tale, and then it actually says The Hunger Games. That's very interesting that that's there. Okay, so we had something else. I'm gonna paste this here. What happened to it? Okay, here it is. Totalitarian. Totalitarianism is a political system in which the state recognizes no limits to its authority. Wow, see? And that, look, the key word being what? Total, right? Total. Okay, total. See? I mean, pretty much the sum of or all right? No limits to its authority and seeks to control. That's another key word: control every aspect of public and private life. And how are they going to achieve that? Through their digital device. Everybody has a digital ID, and issued through microchips and mass surveillance. Things like Palantir, which lines up with the social credit score system. All right, in a sense, because both of these things breed forth mass surveillance. All right. Let's see where we stopped at. Okay, yep, it seeks to control every aspect of public and private life. It is an extreme form of authoritarianism where the government attempts to totally shape society and its citizens' values, beliefs, and actions through an official, all-encompassing ideology. Totalitarian regimes are defined by several core characteristics: single party rule and dictatorship. Power is concentrated in a single leader or a single political party that does not tolerate opposition and holds absolute, unchecked. Well, that's beautiful, because when we go into this video, you're going to see that. All right, unchecked authority, total control. Total control. That's what they want. That's what it's about. The government regulates not just political matters, but also the economy, education, art. Wow, because there's a dude that was in there I think it's somewhere near to N, some dude that does art and stuff like that. He got thrown in jail. Well, okay, so I'm ready to get to the video now. Science and the private morality of its citizens. Official ideology. The state promotes a comprehensive guiding ideology to justify its actions and demands the population's unquestioning loyalty and uncritical support. State-controlled media and censorship. All forms of mass communication are controlled by the government, which uses propaganda to promote its agenda and censors any dissenting opinions or alternative viewpoints. Surveillance and terror. Extensive surveillance, including secret police operations that function outside the constraint of law, is used to monitor citizens, instill fear, and eliminate dissent. Suppression of individual freedom. Individual liberties such as freedom of speech, assembly, and the press are severely restricted or non-existent. I forget whatchamacallit that is in the so-called Constitution. All right, but yeah, they speak about freedom of speech and right to the redress of grievances and stuff like that. Okay, those things are going to be taken away from the American citizens. And this is why Esau's doing everything he's doing to do away with your rights, okay, and then usher in what he deems is right or wrong according to him, whatever according to him. Mobilization and of the masses. The state often mobilizes the population in mass rallies or campaigns to pursue national goals and reinforce a sense of collective purpose against perceived enemies, both internal and external. All right, so we're not getting to those examples. All right, so with that said, I'm not gonna hold off anymore. I'll leave this here in case we want to come back and talk some more about that. Let's get into this video. Hopefully it takes us back. I figure that much. Give me a second. I'll pull it back up. All right, so let me play the video.
Will you go straight to jail the moment you use your gun in self-defense?
So once again, that title was Life Under China's Social Credit System, a Dystopian Reality. Okay, and this is the system that's basically going to come to America. And I'll put the captions on. Maybe we can use them.
Morning.
You're filming all the time.
What time is it?
I don't know.
Let's have a look at your points. How many have you got?
The same. It doesn't change every day.
How many do you want?
Don't know. I'm not at the maximum.
So they're basically having a look at her social credit score. Which in this video, obviously, this guy's probably moved to, I guess, somewhere in China, and that's his wife. So, because he keeps talking about his wife's social credit score, but he never mentioned his. So I'm not sure exactly what his situation is, but a lot of things are pretty much, which, you know, it actually makes her the somewhat of a leader in this particular relationship, because everything's based on social credit score, and both of them need it, but everything's always done through her, which you'll notice that in the video. So because he never mentions his own, all right. But that's her husband supposedly with the camera, all right, recording.
Possible?
I don't know.
What are we going to do today?
Go shopping.
My name's Sebastien, and I'm French. Lulu is my wife, and she's Chinese. We live in Beijing.
See?
Let's film ourselves for a year. Is that okay with you?
Don't I get a private life?
We don't have one anyway.
Shut up.
Shutting up in China is more than a habit. It's a survival technique. I don't think there are any spy cameras in my own home, but there are plenty of reasons to be paranoid.
See, it says my wife has social credit. It doesn't mention him, but, you know.
Have you got the keys?
No, you take them. Welcome to our apartment in North Beijing, outside the 4th Orbital Road. This is where I live with Lulu. I've been a journalist in China since 2007. We live an ordinary life as a married couple, except for one detail. We're never really alone. On our landing or in the lift, they're everywhere.
They're referring to all these little digital signs, all right, you know, stuff like that, which these probably have even cameras inside of them, okay? And it's just all speaking to mass surveillance.
China has at least one surveillance camera for every 2 inhabitants.
See?
Electronic eyes which are always watching us. Today, Lulu wants to show me the City Council's latest idea. Is that what you wanted to show me? That screen?
If you cross when the light's red, either in a car or walking, you get displayed on the screen.
And what's the point of that?
To show everyone you broke the rules. Maybe later on you'll lose points.
Yeah. A big screen up there that shows people who are, you know, which in this particular scenario, it's, you know, traffic, all right? Cars that break the traffic rules, people that break the, you know, the crossing, you know, traffic rules, because, you know, you have these buttons that you'll push, and, you know, they have the walk, the wait, the countdown, all this kind of stuff, all right? So all these different things, and they'll displays you up there on the screen, which he speaks about that, all right?
We won't cross on red then. The cars don't care, though.
Yes, it's for everyone. They'll be displayed as well. It's not just for the pedestrians, it's for everyone.
See?
You see that girl crossing?
What do you think of this system?
It's to make people follow the rules, to stop them doing stupid things.
This is to make people follow the rules and stop them from doing stupid things. Which, here's the thing about that. Like, when you look at it, okay, from a particular lens, you know, with the system, you look at it like, man, this is kind of a little perfect system here. But then when you go into the scriptures and you look at things according to righteousness, and you realize this is nothing more than basically control over the people. All right. So it's actually a wicked system. Okay. But that's what blinds the people. All right. Because this chick here, Lulu, all right, as she goes throughout this video, she's going to try her best to do everything right and nothing wrong. Okay. So like I was saying, like when you look at it from just a normal people angle, it's like, well, okay, the system, it does right. It'll keep people in line, all that kind of stuff. But that's not how the Lord intended things to be. He intended to have, a free world of the people, not meaning you just do whatever you want. Of course not, because we were given the law, statutes, commandments. And even more so, right, when the kingdom is established, he's going to establish the law, statutes, commandments for all the earth, okay? So it's not just like a free will type of thing, but, the Lord set certain, standards and whatnot, okay? But in other words, what I'm saying is he didn't mean for people to be controlled and monitored, in this manner, all right? Ain't going to be need for a bunch of cameras, okay, all over, the kingdom, okay, when it's established, all right? That's Esau's thing.
It's a bit like being treated like children.
She's talking about the surveillance, like being treated like children.
$23 million children in Beijing, 1.4 billion in China as a whole. Children like my wife earn or lose points, are punished or rewarded, depending on their behavior.
That's how you call them children, right?
An entire population under surveillance. Cameras in the street, mobile phone apps, insurance files, police records, bank statements, medical records. In China, all the data are instantly digitized. Smart cities, which supposedly use 5G and big data to improve citizens' lives, are in fact huge surveillance networks. Taking the metro, buying food, buying a book. All these everyday acts are archived by the great digital harvester. The harvesting is done by the regime, which collates all the data to build a digital portrait of each citizen. All the Chinese now have a digital double, which lives its life in Beijing's computer servers.
See, everybody has a digital double, okay? Basically, their identity, okay, their physical person, personal identity is now digitized, okay? And they're going to speak about this, what is it, Alipay, okay? Because Alipay is going to pretty much be connected to everything, all right, as we go on. And you'll see, and then they have the, the QR codes and things of that nature. So all these things are interconnected, and you're pretty much not able to operate without these things, okay? And then you have restrictions and other things of that nature, so it keeps the people in line, but it's really just control over them.
Please spend a night with my daughter. She is
A double which is marked, appraised, and judged by the party's computers. To the citizens, it's like a game or a loyalty program. Their loyalty earns them points. Bad marks damage their credit. Such is my wife's.
Their loyalty earns them points. Bad marks, jacks up their credit. Those are called incentives, or at least the positive side. All right, the positive side of things is called incentives. Okay, if you do this and do this and do that, your score will go up. But if you do this and do this and do that we don't like, okay, then your score may go down. And it's not like an immediate thing, because some things are minor. But if you do it enough times, all right, it will affect your score.
Day to day. Lulu fellow citizens are faced with this overseer judging every hour, every second of their lives.
There's video surveillance everywhere.
My wife isn't a journalist. She works in marketing. To make sense of the impact this technological and social revolution has had on her life, I decided to film her daily routine.
The day's just beginning, and you can't live without a phone. It's already begun.
The day is just beginning, and you can't live without a phone. And that's gonna scream louder and louder as we watch the video. But I'm gonna make the quick point of, the fact that if they can't operate in this, Chinese world without their cell phones, what's the next level of that? Okay, it's the micro CHIP, which they'll easily be ushered into, because if they're already operating under that system, and you have to have your cell phone, you got to have this app and this, you got to scan these codes and stuff like that. What's the next level? If they're already okay and following the rules of just everything operated in under this system, what more when the CHIP comes? Okay, they'll walk right into it, because they'll have no choice. All right, and you see all these people in China. What do you say? 24 million, something like that. You call them children. So it's going to be 24 million Chinese people who are going to gladly just, go into the, all right. My dad. Okay, I get it. Fox. What was I saying? Yeah, 24 million Chinese people who just going to gladly take the CHIP, because this is basically a lower level of that already. Them being controlled, all right, with total control, right? Okay. Them total control. Okay. Nephews. I didn't even see them. Well, one of them, I guess the other was at practice. Yep. So yeah, let me play this video.
I have to order a car.
More than anywhere else in the world, in China, life is impossible without a mobile phone.
See?
The country has over 1 billion subscribers. And nothing escapes the apps that Lulu's installed on her smartphone.
Nothing escapes the app that's on her smartphone.
What do you see on the app? His name, the number of trips.
You see his name, his car, the make, the color,
and she's talking about the taxi
the
guy
number plate,
that's driving
the
her
number
right
of trips he's made, how long he's had his license.
And that's all personal information. Like you call a taxi cab in America, none of those things come up. Okay, if anything, it's your location and your destination. All right, and they'll have one dispatch as soon as possible. Someone's in the area, someone's free, whatever the case may be. But they have pretty much a history of a taxi driver. Okay, that's super low level, but yet they have a whole history of a taxi driver.
Everything.
So far, so ordinary. Except that here, the entire journey is filmed and recorded by the little camera over the rear view mirror.
And real quick, because a lot of times, like when you think about, someone's driving history and all those different things, those are things that are usually kept by like insurance companies. Okay. So it's not like openly readily available. But if you call a taxi, you can access this information without an insurance company.
The rest is exactly like the system we've all come to know. We give the driver a mark, and he does the same for us. In China, marking has become the norm, as it has across the planet. You hand out points for every online order, every train journey or flight you take. And you do so with your thumb on social media. Evaluation.
So it's like, it's almost like trading. Like, I don't know exactly how to explain it. Okay, but it's all everything links back and centered around the social credit score system,
which establish a person's popularity or a company's reliability.
See?
I was making so much money with DoorDash. I wanted to earn money in my free time, but I didn't want to go out and get a boring 9 to 5. That's when I found out how much
reliability. But on Planet China, all these interactions All these likes become so much data, all of which is cross-referenced and locked away in a digital safe to which the government has the key.
See? A digital safe in which the government
Activity on
has the
social
key.
media, but also purchases, travel, and conversations. Private lives stored in a code installed by each Chinese citizen on his or her mobile phone. The COVID-19 epidemic gave the government the chance to add this extra tool to its already substantial data harvesting apparatus. The QR code. Its official objective? To track people's movements and contacts in order to fight the spread of the virus.
Here it is right here, the QR code.
QR codes are used everywhere. Going to the hairdressers.
Check this out.
Use your phone to scan.
Oh, I have to scan.
The one in the middle.
See, everywhere they go, they have to scan in a QR code into their phone. Their phone is equipped with the app. I believe it's the Alipay app. Alipay app is equipped with all the surveillance for, that leads back to the social credit scoring system. So everywhere they go, they have to scan these QR codes, man.
With WeChat,
Shopping, going to the restaurant. Every building we enter, every person we come into contact with, the QR code knows everything we've done.
See? That's surveillance. That's data collection. Everywhere you go, you have to scan a QR code. It's basically you checking in. All right. Everywhere you go, you're checking in by way of the QR code. The QR code comes into your phone. Everything else is inside your device already. The data is collected and stored away. What it said a second ago. All right. A digital locker, whatever he said, and which the government has the key to. You see? So imagine that system being here in America. Okay.
In China, this snitch is installed inside the very applications without which life is impossible.
See, without which life is impossible.
Alipay, a payment app comparable to Apple Pay, and developed by Alibaba, Amazon's Chinese rival. Taobao, Lulu's favorite online shopping site. And not forgetting the group Tencent, the developer of WeChat.
Which I've heard of Tencent before. Tencent actually makes mobile games, pretty good mobile games too. But yeah, so it's interesting to see them there. All right, but anyways,
the Swiss Army knife of the digital world with which you can chat, pay, and scan a go-go. A sort of multitasking WhatsApp.
so a multitasking app.
All these apps put out there by the Chinese tech giants are gobbling up personal data, which directly feeds the party's ever-vigilant surveillance system.
See? Everywhere you go, you have to scan the code.
I go to meet data analyst Feng Xiuan in a very trendy neighborhood of Beijing. He confirms that the pandemic did indeed accelerate the data harvesting system, doing so directly by means of the apps installed on mobile phones.
Let's compare the health code system to a cake. At first, the engineers and inventors of the tech companies, such as Alibaba and Tencent, came up with the recipe for the cake, and they showed this to the government. Only government departments have the right to request the personal data stored, for example, by airlines, railway, or telephone companies, data which they can use under certain conditions. This is how the government sources the ingredients for the cake. But in order to mix the ingredients together and bake the cake, only the tech companies have the capacity to do this. The government isn't a baker. Next, we can see that the government has the right to ask online payment platforms for details of transactions, also under certain conditions. The question is how to find a balance between protecting personal data and what the government is permitted to do. This is something the whole world is arguing about right now.
But it's not a new debate. Already in the late 1980s, China was opening up to a market economy. It started to use data to control the people. country was waking up to fried chicken, Ferraris, and money. Lots of money. But that faint tune of freedom was soon muted by the party. Mao's grandchildren wouldn't be any freer. They'd just be rich. In exchange for access to consumer goods, nothing about the lives of the Chinese could henceforth be kept secret from the party. Beijing would regulate the flow of money in its own way, controlling consumption and thereby the citizens. My wife Lulu is a child of the great consumerism boom and of the mobile phone. She's one of those Chinese who buy, spend.
Yes, I don't know what the heck she was doing, but she was basically, if you look closely, she was trying out the lipstick before buying it, but using the digital thing. Because I didn't know what the heck she was doing. All right.
Plan holidays and dream of retiring.
And then she purchased. All right. So
the sun. Ever since the People's Court of Commerce started selling off the revolution, her generation has been enjoying the boom. It was this hunger to consume that brought about the Chinese financial credit system in the 1980s. But first of all, Beijing wanted to understand the strange mechanics of the market economy and familiarize itself with the notion of credit.
Your cravings are calling. They say Domino's specialty pizzas are just $9.99 each when you mix and match. You gonna answer that or?
Xin Dai, a law professor at Beijing's Tsinghua University, the most prestigious university in the country, explains how this happened. As in the old cliche, China just went ahead and copied what we do best in the West. The ancestor of Chinese social credit was made in the USA.
Yeah. The story went is some senior official paid a visit to the U.S., right? And then so apparently he was trying to find out, okay, look, why supposedly there weren't as many frauds in the U.S. markets as compared with China's, right? So what's really the difference? So one difference he apparently realized, or at least somebody told him or he discovered, was that the U.S. has something called credit system, right? So credit reporting, credit rating, right? So because if you committed fraud, once or in one transaction, and that would become recorded into your credit profile, credit record, and then if you have that negative entry, that might actually make it very hard for you to get into future transactions or be trusted as a trustworthy business account.
And obviously they do that already when you come to like say you want to go and get a loan from a bank or just a lower level of like from a loan company, loan shark, right? And it's basically based on your credit. Okay, so it's the same credit score system but taken to a higher digital level. Okay.
Party in the future.
The party saw in these financial regulation mechanisms the potential for a much more all-encompassing system of control. What if one could establish a score based on the solvency and habits of the consumer?
A score based on the habits of the consumer. Okay, this is why they need all the data collection, right? What people are doing, where they're going, where they're buying, all these different things, you see?
Thus was born the idea of social credit, marking citizens on their purchasing behavior. A system of good and bad marks to achieve the ideal of a harmoniously integrated society. A program spelled out in the 5-year plan and revealed to the public by the Chinese government in this document in 2014. The social credit system is an important element of the socialist market economy system and of the social governance system. Encouragements for loyalty and constraints for untrustworthiness are used as rewards and punishments. The accelerated construction of a social credit system is an important basis for the total implementation of the concept of technological development and the establishment of a harmonious socialist society. A system in which information about your finances is cross-referenced with your civic behavior. Marks are given, creating a new social order with first, second, third, and fourth-class citizens.
The idea is if you accrue points, the more points you have, you might use these points to have some sort of like preferential access to certain kind of public services. For example, you might go to the public hospitals without paying a deposit when you see a doctor. You might be able to go to certain public parks without paying entrance fee. You might be.
This all goes back to those incentives, right? If you're doing well, there's certain things that you don't have to worry about that others have to worry about with a lower, credit score, social credit score, and so on and so forth.
Able to get discount fares when you use public transportation, all these kind of things. Also, I think in Suzhou there are some stuff like you can just go to public libraries and borrow books without paying a deposit because your score might be good. But mostly are these kind of things at this point, right? So really, how important are they, or how trivial are they, right, at this point?
And my wife in all this? Does Lulu have enough credit in the eyes of the government? She's a model student anyway. Her counter is up by 5 points. 5 points that she's no doubt earned thanks to her good consumer habits, her civic sense, and her respect for the rules. Shindai does an analysis.
We see here that you can do lots of things. With your current mark, you could stay in these hotels without having to pay a deposit. You can get reductions on travel, and this is very interesting. Visas for Canada, Argentina, and Latvia. This doesn't mean you can just get a visa from the Canadian embassy without supplying certain documents. But as you're at a certain level, there are some documents you won't have to bother with. It doesn't mean a good mark will get you a visa all by itself. Of course it won't. But it can be helpful and will be recognized by some embassies.
For Lulu, it's the promise of travel with less hassle, thanks to the good mark displayed on her app.
So she has a good score?
She does.
Did you know all that?
No, there are things I didn't know.
Not as scary as we thought.
It's not scary at all.
What do you say when a Jewish boy is kicked on a New York City sidewalk?
Two parts to this, because this is an hour-long video.
Not scary at all.
Okay, Lulu doesn't share my fears about this 100% digital world. This society in which no one can hide. Where everything you do is recorded, analyzed, and interpreted.
See?
Where
everything is recorded, analyzed, and interpreted. That's data collection.
Mobile phone can turn you into a good or bad citizen.
See? Smartphone can turn you into a good or bad citizen. What do you think the next level is that of that? That's the microchip. See? Where everything will be recorded just the same, but the device, you're no longer going to need stuff like Alipay and QR codes, all right, and cell phones, all right. Everything's going to be within you. Like I believe the video, I think we did. Yeah, I think I already did that video. I sure did. Yep, about Elon Musk. He's talking about there's going to be no need for cell phones. What the heck is he talking about? Okay, he's talking about digital devices to be implanted inside of you. See? Excuse me.
It's not sticking properly, but
Doesn't it bother you at all that you can be kept under surveillance via your phone? Everything is monitored.
I haven't done anything wrong. So if someone's interested, they can do whatever they want.
And notice her response. That's why I found, because he does this like 2 or 3 times within his video. She gave a response in order to not get flagged. All right, because obviously she would have been recorded, maybe been flagged, and it might have affected her social credit score. I believe there's some portion where he talks about crossing the street while it's red. All right, they have your face on the screen. Okay, and she, yeah. So it's kind of funny, but it's making her do the right thing, and that's control over the citizens. Now, I'm not saying you should just go out there and jump in the traffic, causing a a havoc, whether you walk in a pedestrian or a car or whatever. But it's a whole different thing when they're making you do the right thing. All right, and then certain things where it's not even wrong, but they're saying that because they're in control, they're saying that is wrong. So it's viewed as wrong, and then it affects you, which affects your social credit score, affects what you can and cannot do in society, man. So it's a very deep system.
Do you like living with that, or would you like to refuse?
Why would I refuse?
See?
Anyway, you can't.
So what if you could?
I wouldn't. It's so
See, why would I refuse? Any way you can. What if you could? You see? So she's not saying anything that's like, yeah, I hate this system, or I don't like, or if I could change this. She's making sure she gives him the proper response, because she knows that what she's been saying just may be recorded, and it could end up back at her doorstep, affecting her credit score, which is obviously, from the video, from the beginning of the video, we know that it's good. See?
practical. It makes life much easier. You can't do without it.
See? It's practical. It makes life easier. You can't do without it. So if she was offered a microchip, what do y'all think she's going to do?
The companies behind WeChat and Alipay know everything about you. Are you more afraid of them or of the state that's tracking you?
I wouldn't say afraid, but sometimes it's a bit worrying. Like, you might make a stupid joke, and if it touches on politics, then you might get someone calling you up to tell you off.
Phone or not, it makes no difference to the way you live?
No, I haven't changed the way I live.
The question really is, are we going to basically dial all back to the day where we don't have smartphones, we don't have video cameras, we don't have whatnot, right? Or maybe this is the way we go. So the equilibrium always changes. And we understand, okay, look, all this information surveillance, they bring us something that we think is good, which, for example, greater safety, greater security, greater efficiency, which actually people would have desired if on the condition that, some other core values we don't lose, or we'll be able to deal with it.
Do the people actually have a choice? Is there an alternative to accepting these new rules for living imposed by the regime? After all, as Lulu says,
it's so practical.
The logic of global surveillance accompanies the changes in Chinese society driven by technological advancements.
And this system has them attached to their cell phones. So the next level is to say, hey, we've made it easier. You don't have to have your cell phone all the time. You just come up and, scan with your hand. Okay, you just walk on a train, or you go here, you purchase that, you go there, so on and so forth. No more QR codes. See? That convenience, or as brothers talk about gradualism, you see, which they're going to market it to them as convenient, because it would be a simple version of this system here, but it's still the same system of control. It's just on a higher level now.
This can be seen with the disappearance of an item which first appeared in China in the 11th century, the banknote. Gradually in Beijing, Banknotes, which are by nature anonymous, are being replaced by contactless payment, which is easily traceable by the regime. The irony is that with each note that disappears from circulation, Mao's face is erased a little more from people's everyday lives. It's amazing to think that well into the 2010s, I had to pay cash for everything, and that my foreign credit cards were hardly accepted anywhere.
And the life of Chinese people has changed, since they are living life at their fingertips.
Gun owners who don't make these 3 decisions might as well book themselves into prison now. If you're a gun...
has changed, since they are living life at their fingertips.
Today, state television is even selling this society to foreigners.
Go and buy breakfast on the street and pay by
a world in which everything is so much easier, as long as you don't mind the party knowing everything about you.
Purchase your ticket. Why is Thomas from Germany celebrating with so much enthusiasm? Like many foreigners in China, he is enjoying the convenience of a life without cash. So pervasive is the trend that robbers would be hard-pressed to find any cash to steal from in a modern Chinese store. This is a glimpse into the life of most Chinese.
But an even more advanced piece of technology now makes an entrance in our lives.
Check this out.
So, what do you want?
Water's fine.
Just water? Like this?
Yep.
That one or this one?
The top one.
That's a lot more expensive. So, oh, you pay by sharing your face.
Pay by sharing your face.
Yes, payment by the customer's face.
That's similar to your whole digital ID thing, okay? It's a digital form of payment by sharing your face. And she's going to break it down, too.
Done.
So, you've paid for a bottle of water thanks to facial recognition.
See? Facial recognition. Matter of fact, hold on.
Do you know how it recognized you?